sometimes Mouse, and I talk about books and book-related things, and today I am giving you my August TBR. I can't believe we're already at August. This month is going to be a whole lot of rereading and continuing series that had sequels come out, and I just really didn't realize that they had sequels come out. I'm very excited about it. My normal fair warnings is that if you hear any kind of barking, beeping, eating sounds in the background, etc. I do live in a zoo and I only have so much control over the sounds that the animals in my house make. So if you hear any of those sounds, I'm sorry in advance. It is just a lot easier for me to give you this fair warning rather than to try and edit those sounds out post. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into it and give you guys the TBR. It will be laid out like it normally is with different sections, so here we go. For my series continuations, rereads, new series, etc. I will be reading, for probably the 8th time, Scapegraces by H.A. Clarke. Scapegraces is one of my absolute favorite books, and it's one of the first arcs that I was very excited about and ranted and raved about when I first started my book channel. I believe that this came out in 2020, so 2 years ago. I have been waiting for Scratch Daughters, the sequel, to come out for a very long time, and the arcs have finally been released, and I was approved for the arc of the sequel. So I will be rereading this, which I'm very excited about. The gist of this is that an outcast teenage lesbian witch finds her coven and the friends she's always hoped for hidden among the popular girls in her school, and she performs some seriously badass magic in the process. There's weird stuff happening though with a secret group, and it causes Sideways Pike to lose her magic powers, her magic basically. That is what the second book is going to be about, Scratch Daughters, which I will also be reading, and that book releases October 25th, 2022. It's been a wild year for Sideways Pike. After forming a coven with the 3 most popular girls in school and developing a huge crush on a mystery stranger named Madeline, Sideways' Halloween was ruined by finding out that Madeline wasn't trying to make out with her, but was trying to steal Sideways' Spectre, the force that gives witches the ability to cast magic spells. The spectreless Sideways is in a horrid, distracted mood, unable to do magic, and with part of her consciousness tied to Madeline's on the lam as she uses Sideways' Spectre to hunt Chantress. The other Scapegracers are much jollier, heading into the winter holidays having set up shop as curse crafters for girls in their schools who've been done wrong by guys, when Sideways, through Madeline, gets a flash of how to track down both her foes at once. She asks the Scapegracers to help entrap them, only to be told that her plan is unsafe and unwise. So, if she's going to find Madeline, her only ally is Mr. Scratch, the inky book demon currently inhabiting her as life support until she gets her Spectre back. I'm very excited about reading it and seeing a little bit more of the process with Mr. Scratch and how that's going to go, so we'll see. I am excited. Then we have a reread of Gearbreakers by Zoe Hannah Makuta. Rip in peace, I just knocked something down. Now, this book was a book that disappointed me a little bit, and you can kind of tell from the tabs here, where the first half I was like, what is happening? You just threw me in blind, and I don't know what's going on, and I'm not having a good time. And then in the last half I was like, this is a great time, and I'm enjoying myself greatly. So, you know, there's that. The shadows of Gedalia's tyrannical rule is spreading, aided by their giant mechanized weapons known as wind-ups. War and oppression are everyday constants for the people of the Badlands, who live under the thumb of their cruel Gedalia overlords. Gedalia? I don't know. Eris Shindanai is a gearbreaker, a brash young rebel who specializes in taking down wind-ups from the inside. When one of her missions goes awry, she finds herself in a Gedalia prison. Erin meets Sona Steelcrest, a cybernetically enhanced wind-up pilot. At first, Eris sees Sona as her mortal enemy, but Sona has a secret. She has intentionally infiltrated the wind-up program to destroy Gedalia from within. As the clock ticks down to their deadliest mission yet, a direct attack to end Gedalia's reign once and for all, Eris and Sona go closer as comrades, friends, and perhaps something more. The sequel that just came out, I believe in June or July, is Godslayers. And in Godslayers, the Gearbreakers struck a devastating blow against Gedalia on Heaven's Day, but the cost of victory has been steep. Months later, the few rebels who've managed to escape their tyrannical empire's bloody retribution have fled to the mountains, hunted by the last Zenith, Gedalia's only surviving leader. Eris has been held prisoner since the attack on the capital city, which almost killed her. With the rebellion shattered and Gedalia moving forward with an insidious plan to begin inducting Badlands children into a new wind-up pilot program, the odds have never been more stacked against the Gearbreakers. Their last hope for victory will depend on whether Eris and Sona can somehow find their way back to each other from opposite sides of the war. I'm very excited to continue the series. I was very upset when the first book ended. I was like, alright, well, now I need more, so please give it to me. So I'm excited to continue with the series. My next reread is going to be A Song for the Wild-Built by Becky Chambers. A Song for the Wild-Built is about this person who decides to become a tea monk, and that is what they have decided to specialize in. They go to serve tea to this robot, and it ends up being this very sweet interaction that they have. I don't even know how to get into it. It was very, very sweet. It made me tear up, and it is a short little novella. The sequel, A Prayer for the Crown Shy, comes out, and sibling Dex, the tea monk, and Mosscap, the robot, turn their attention to the villages and cities of the little moon they call home, hoping to help them and find the answers that they seek. I'm very excited about continuing this little series, and again, they're novellas, so they're little snack-sized things, and it's gonna be a good read. Next reread is going to be This Poison Heart by Kaylin Barron. I don't know if I actually own that book. I think I only own Cinderella is Dead. Anyway, This Poison Heart by Kaylin Barron. It is a Sleeping Beauty? Yes, it's a Sleeping Beauty retelling. Bree inherits this strange property and goes and moves in. There is an apothecary and deadly botanicals and magic and that kind of thing in the home. Bree has magic powers with plants, and so the hope is that she will get them under control. But it turns out that there's this secret society that needs a mystery elixir from her, and it's a whole ordeal. The second book, This Wicked Fate, which is also obviously on the TBR, it came out about a month ago, so in June. Yeah, it came out in June. She still needs to save her mother, and to do so she has to find the last fragment of the deadly Abrista's heart. If she's to locate the missing piece, she must turn to blood relatives she's never known, learn about their secret powers, and take her place in the ancient lineage. Bree is not the only one who wants the heart, though, and her enemies will stop at nothing to fulfill their ruthless plans. That's the sequel. We're excited for it. We're excited to continue on with it. That's all I have for my rereads and series continuations. After that, I have my other category, very vague, as you do. The first book on that is going to be What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. This is a Fall of the House of Usher retelling. I really like T. Kingfisher's writing. I find that it is very good horror. When Alex Easton, a retired soldier, receives word that their childhood friend Madeline Usher is dying, they race to the ancestral home of the Ushers in the remote countryside of Ruritania. When they find there is a nightmare of fungal growths and possessed wildlife surrounding a dark, pulsing lake, Madeline sleepwalks and speaks in strange voices at night, and her brother, Roderick, is consumed with a mysterious malady of the nerves. Aided by a redoubtable British mycologist and a baffled American doctor, Alex must unravel the secret of the House of Usher before it consumes them all. Sounds very Mexican Gothic, but House of Usher, The Fall of the House of Usher remixed. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Then we have Unchosen by Catherine Blair. This is a book that has been on my library TBR for months and months and months. It's actually one of the oldest books on that list, and I just have been passing up the chance to read it repeatedly for various reasons. For Charlotte Holloway, the world ended twice. The first was when her childhood crush, Dean, fell in love with her older sister. The second was when the crimson, a curse spread through eye contact, turned the majority of humanity into flesh-eating monsters. Neither end of the world changed Charlotte. She is still in the shadows of her siblings. Her popular older sister, Harlow, now commands forces of survivors, and her talented younger sister, Vanessa, is the chosen one, who, legend has it, can end the curse. When their settlement is raided by those seeking the chosen one, Charlotte makes a reckless decision to save Vanessa. She takes her place as a prisoner. The word spreads across the seven seas, the chosen one has been found, but when Dean's life is threatened and a resistance looms on the horizon, the lie keeping Charlotte alive begins to unravel. She'll have to break free, forge new bonds, and choose her own destiny if she has any hope of saving her sisters, her love, and maybe even the world, because sometimes the end is just a new beginning. Sounds cheesy, but it is a young adult dystopian end of the world book, so we will we'll see how that goes. Next up, we have my advanced reader copies that I'm going to be reading this month. Like I said in my last TBR, I am going to try and focus on reading advanced reader copies that come out either in the month that I am reading the book or the month after. This is going to be August and September books, with the exception of Scratch Daughters, which I mentioned previously, and it comes out in October. Monsters Born and Made by Tom V. Bra. It comes out September 6th, 2022. 16-year-old Coral and her older brother Emmerich risk their lives each day to capture their monstrous Maris stags that live in the Black Seas around their island. They have to, or else their family will starve. In an oceanic world swarming with vicious beasts, the Landers, the ruling elite, have indentured Coral's family to provide the Maris stags for the Glory Race, a deadly chariot tournament reserved for the upper class. The winning contender receives gold and glory. The others, if they're lucky, survive. When the last Maristag of the year escapes and Coral has no new Maristag to sell, her family's financial situation takes a turn for the worse, and they can't afford medicine for her chronically ill little sister. Coral's only choice is to do what no one in the world has ever dared: cheat her way into the Glory Race. But every step of the way is unpredictable as Coral races against contenders, including her ex-boyfriend, who have trained for this their whole lives and who have no intention of letting a low-caste girl steal their glory. When a rebellion rises and rogues attack Coral to try and force her to drop out, she must choose her life or her sister's before the whole world burns. Whole island burns, not the world. A little bit extra dramatic there. Then we have I'm the Girl by Courtney Summers. That's coming out September 13th, 2022. Courtney Summers is a pretty fantastic thriller author, so I am excited about reading this. When 16-year-old Georgia Avis discovers the dead body of 13-year-old Ashley James, she teams up with Ashley's older sister, Nora, to find and bring the killer to justice before he strikes again. But their investigation throws Georgia into a world of unimaginable privilege and wealth, without conscience or consequence, and as Ashley's killer closes in, Georgia will soon discover when money, power, and beauty rule, it might not be a matter of who is guilty, but who is guiltiest. I am a little bit concerned that there might be, just with the usage of guilty and guiltiest, etc., I am a little bit concerned that there might be some trial and courtroom-esque things. If there is, then I will obviously not be able to finish this book, more than likely, but we will see. They don't generally give trigger warnings for that. And then the next one that comes out on August 9th, 2022 is going to be I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. If you grew up in pre-2010, then you probably watched iCarly as a kid, and having done so, then you would know who Sam is. Sam is played by Jeanette McCurdy, and Jeanette McCurdy has kind of been one of the first child celebrities to become outspoken about the situations that her parents put her in, her mother specifically. I don't know about her situation with her dad. It is a heartbreaking and hilarious memoir by iCarly and Sam and Cat star Jeanette McCurdy about her struggles as a former child actor, including eating disorders, addiction, and a complicated relationship with her overbearing mother, and how she retook control of her life. I have been following the story of Jeanette's a little bit, and so I'm kind of excited to read the her memoir and see more of it from her point of view and from her own words. Next, we have the recommendations from Art. As you guys know, Art is my best friend, and she gives me great recommendations. I specifically asked for sci-fi books this month, and that is because I noticed a deep lack of sci-fi in my reading history for the last year, and so I wanted to kind of change that around. However, I may have included way too much sci-fi in this TBR, so my book blanket might be very interesting. But anyway, this is the current, this is why these are all sci-fi, was because I specifically asked Art for sci-fi recommendations. First, we have The Chosen Ones by Veronica Roth. A decade ago near Chicago, 5 teenagers defeated the otherworldly enemy known as the Dark One, whose reign of terror brought widespread destruction and death. The seemingly unextraordinary teens, Sloane, Matt, Inez, Albie, and Esther, had been brought together by a clandestine government agency because one of them was fated to be the quote-unquote chosen one. Apparently that's a theme today. Prophesized to save the world. With the goal achieved, humankind celebrated the visitors and began to mourn their lost loved ones. 10 years later, though the champions remain celebrities, the world has moved forward and a whole younger generation doesn't seem to recall the days of endless fear. But Sloane remembers. It's impossible for her to forget when the paparazzi haunt her every step just as the Dark One still haunts her dreams. Unlike everyone else, she hasn't moved on. She's adrift. No direction, no goals, no purpose. On the eve of the 10-year celebration of peace, a new trauma hits the Chosen. The death of one of their own. And when they gather for the funeral all at the enshrined site of their triumph, they discover to their horror that the Dark One's reign never really ended. This sounds similar to another book that I read a while back, and I like the concept of heroes who saved the day or whatever, what happens to them after. I really like that concept in books, and so I am excited about reading this one. Then we have The Martian by Andy Weir. This is one of Art's favorite books, and so I am going to be reading it. 6 days ago, astronaut Mark Watney became one of the first people to walk on Mars. Now, he's sure he'll be the first person to die there. After a dust storm nearly kills him and forces his crew to evacuate while thinking him dead, Mark finds himself stranded and completely alone with no way to even signal Earth that he's alive. And even if he could get word out, his supplies would have gone long before a rescue could arrive. Chances are, though, he won't even have time to starve to death. The damaged machinery, unforgiving environment, or plain old quote-unquote human error are more likely to kill him first. But Mark isn't ready to give up yet. Drawing on his ingenuity, wow, his engineering skills, and a relentless, dogged refusal to quit, he steadfastly confronts one seemingly insurmountable obstacle after the next. Will his resourcefulness be enough to overcome the impossible odds against him? I don't know. We'll see this month. And then finally we have The Kaiju Preservation Society by John Scalzi. When COVID-19 sweeps through New York City, and I have thoughts about reading things that use COVID-19 because I just want to pretend that it didn't happen, but anyway. Jamie Gray is stuck as a dead-end driver for food delivery apps. That is, until Jamie makes a delivery to an old acquaintance, Tom, who works at what he calls an animal rights organization. Tom's team needs a last-minute grunt to handle things on their next field visit. Jamie, eager to do anything, immediately signs on. What Tom doesn't tell Jamie is that the animals his team cares for are not here on Earth. Not our Earth, at least. In an alternative dimension, massive dinosaur-like creatures named kaiju roam a warm and human-free world. They're the universe's largest and most dangerous panda, and they're in trouble. It's not just the Kaiju Preservation Society that found its way to the alternative world. Others have too, and their carelessness could cause millions back on our Earth to die. So that is the TBR for August. I think that it is a fun collection of books. I don't think I have anything too terribly heavy this month, so I'm kind of excited about the things that I'm reading and excited about switching up genres and reading things that I've had on my TBR for a while. I'm quite pleased with the list I have put together this month. So if there's anything on this list that you have heard of and read and enjoyed, or have not heard of and are now interested in want to read and ask me how it is or whatever, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear it. But I'm gonna go. This has been my video. I will see you guys again on Thursday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time and on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time every single week. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe and share. And if you didn't, you can let me know in the comments down below what I can do to make it a little bit better for you. Don't forget to take your meds, drink your water, and do something today to take care of yourselves. Okay, thanks, bye.